Hi, this is Nam from Easy Sunday Club.
Hi, this is Kathy, the camera woman today.
And today we're going to do a review of the Epson SureColor P800.
It is the bread and butter of our business of selling our paper goods made from our very own home studio.
So we are a watercolor art print business. So it's going to be from that perspective. Primarily rely on this printer to make all of our prints that we sell on our e-commerce store and at craft fairs. So we use this all the time and send our prints all over the nation and craft stores to sell.
And wholesale.
The way I want to break up this conversation is first I want to show you the features and the anatomy of the printer. After that we'll do a print comparison so you can see the quality of the print. And then we're going to talk about whether or not you should even buy this thing or wait to buy the new P900 that was just announced from Epson. So the first thing I want to do is to go into the features. So if you look at this printer, then I'm gonna go through each compartment so you can see what's going on. So right here, the front panel here, this is where the paper comes and rests after it's done printing. So that's what this thing is here. This right here is a little cool feature. So if you are front loading the printer, then you're gonna front load it here and it will print and go out the back. The reason why it has a front loader is so that it can take thicker paper, even can print on a foam board. We use this for certain watercolor paper that we're printing on that's super thick, but it drives us crazy because it takes a while for the paper to catch. And also it takes a lot longer time. Whereas if I use the auto feeder in the back, I can just put a stack of paper and it just kind of auto feeds all the paper.
And if you haven't already, make sure to watch our other YouTube video comparing 3 different paper types for printing watercolor. One of the paper that I've been using for the first 2 to 3 years of my business is paper that I had to use the front loader because it doesn't take, the auto feeder in the back doesn't take. And it's taken so much time out of us that we had to eventually switch. So yeah, there are these 2 loading options, but the back auto feeder option is much faster.
The next thing I wanted to show you was a maintenance cartridge. So this is where when ink gets dumped, it goes to die and dry out. So every time I turn off and on the printer, then it dumps whatever ink is in all the tubes, so the tubes don't dry out, and it goes here. And you have to replace this every so often. There's a chip right here on the side, so it knows when it's too full, and then you have to go get another one. Looks like we might have to get a new one soon, actually.
So to prevent ink from being wasted in this cemetery, we try not to turn off our printer, right?
Yeah, so we leave our printer on most of the time and make sure we use it every couple days, which ends up happening, and we're good. On this little panel right here, you can see all the different levels of ink. Our LLK seems to be running low, because it normally does. And if you unlock the ink cartridge cover, then you can see all of our inks. Yes.
I have been force opening this.
Yeah.
Thank goodness I haven't broken it yet.
Yeah, that's why we can't have nice things. So you can see all of our different inks. There's 9 of them. Over here is matte black. So if you're printing on matte paper, then it's going to use this black. Photo black, if you're printing on glossy paper, it'll use this black. And the ink that usually runs out the fastest is our light black, this one right here. So that can be frustrating. And then we have the color inks right here.
And the reason why there are 2 black ink is one of them is photo black for photographic prints. We rarely use that cartridge, so it almost never runs out unless we're printing family photos or something. But that's because we're printing watercolor on matte paper. If you are a photographer printing your own prints, then that would be a different story.
And also, every time you change from matte to photo, then it has to dump all the inks. So again, literally putting money down the drain. It costs a couple dollars every time it loads like that. So it's a bummer with this. It's just the inks are really expensive, and I'll get into that.
And that's why we don't have any photos on our walls.
Yeah, there's 2 other panels right here. So this panel right here allows you to go see the insides of the printer in case you have to wash it or you have to fix it. And then you have this right here, which is our loading tray. And we usually stack 17 by 22 paper here and just press print and it'll print. Here's the guide that goes here if you have paper that's smaller than 17 by 22. And then there's also another backloading tray right here. So the cool thing about this printer is that the maximum width it prints is 17 inches. So that's perfect for our 17 by 22 paper. As far as the length for this printer, it has no limit because you can actually put a roller in the back of paper and it can just go and print really long panoramic prints, but we actually don't use that. We'd rather just use the pre-cut papers because it's easier to load. One thing I wanted to get into is take a second to talk about inks. So the inks are super expensive for this. Usually they cost around $400 to $500 if you buy them on eBay or Amazon. I think brand new, it can cost even more than that, anywhere from $600 to $800. If the ink's expired online, I buy it anyway because usually it works. It usually works still. I went down rabbit holes to see whether or not I could save costs by buying third-party inks, but based on feedback from printer repair technicians that I've talked to, they said an easy and fast way to kill your printer is by using third-party inks, just because there may be particulates in there that corrupt the system. So, and also on top of that, Epson makes it really difficult now to use third-party inks because they chip all their cartridges, and if they see you trying to use the same chip on a cartridge after it's run out of ink, then it won't allow you to do that. So there's an additional hack to get around that, but for me, it wasn't worth the time and effort. So I just go ahead and just pay a little bit extra for the ink with the peace of mind that, that I'm doing my best to maintain the printer and keep it in good shape. So I wanted to show you the quality of the printing. So you saw me printing this out, but I wanted to give you some close-ups of the quality. One of the things that I love about this printer is how it captures the gradient of Kathy's watercolor art. You can see the browns, and if you go up really close, I can't even see any of the digitizations. Another thing we do is that we always print out business cards. So it's kind of 4 mini watercolor prints that we print along with any prints that we print.
No more Vistaprint or Moo cards. We have a ton of business cards that are, no, I can switch up the design as many times as I want to your shipment.
Next thing I wanted to do was compare Kathy's original watercolor, which is this rainbow trout, with the actual print. If you look here, you can see the colors are pretty close, but I'm going to go closer so that you guys can see some of the detail.
It's almost identical. I know you can probably see that the one on the left, the print is a bit brighter than the right, and one of the reasons is we print the watercolor on a bright white matte paper, whereas the original print, the original painting is on a more off-white textured cold-pressed paper. But overall, I'm very happy with the color reproduction.
When we bought this printer, it costs about $1,000, but Epson always has rebates for it, and they have rebates because they want you to get into the Epson ecosystem. And Canon does the same thing, but once they get you in the ecosystem, then they try to get you with the ink. Yeah, the large ongoing costs for the printer. So if you do want to buy this printer, you can actually buy it used for $600 without any inks, or as low as $500. But the thing is that you're going to have to shell out money for the inks.
We love this printer, but we realize the investment is not for everybody, especially if you're just starting out trying to sell prints that you don't know if people are going to buy, let's be honest. So there's a couple of options, right? If you don't want to buy your own printer.
Yeah, so if you don't want to buy your own printer, then you can go ahead and outsource your printing. So you can either go to a print press, or you can go to Society6, which does kind of print on demand. So if, on Society6, if someone likes your art, then you buy it from Society6. They print it out for you, ship it, and they'll give you a cut of that. After you get a little bit of validation from the market and you want to go into the print business, a good reason to buy this printer is that you get to control all of the quality and all of the costs. Whereas if you go to an outside printer, to get the same quality print that we print at home, it's just so much more expensive if we were to outsource it. So just to give you some idea of the cost, like a piece of paper per print for 8x25 is only 25 cents per page, and then the ink is maybe like $1 or $2 at most, and then you can sell that print for up to $10, $15, $20. So the profit margin is pretty good, but it does take a lot of time to print everything out and to cut it. Next thing I wanted to talk about was whether or not you should get the Epson P800 or wait for the new Epson P900. In our opinion, Epson P800 is fine. If you can get it for a good price, used if you're starting out, or even new with a rebate, and it's going to be cheaper than the P900, the P800 is fine. SC P800 compared to its earlier predecessor, which was the Epson 3880, the differences weren't that much in my opinion. And with each printer, it has its own quirks and features. And I found that with the P800 and the 3880, there's so much knowledge and resources out there to explain these features and quirks. If you have any problems, you can go to forums or YouTube videos. Whereas with the new P900, you're gonna have to wait until people figure out some of those features and quirks and how to fix and problem solve them. Another thing to consider is that when you have a printer, you can download something called printer paper profiles or ICC profiles, and it basically tells the printer how to calibrate the printing to the paper that it has. So depending on which paper from which company, they'll have these profiles for them. And with the P800 or the predecessor Epson 3880, there's all these profiles out there as well, whereas with the new Epson P900, you're gonna have to wait for the market and all that support to catch up. Another thing to consider is that if you are going to go with third-party inks, again, all these hacks and all these third-party companies have been producing ink for the 3880 and the P800 for a long time now. However, with the new P900, you're gonna have to wait for that infrastructure and that aftermarket infrastructure to catch up. So that's pretty much it for this printer. When we first started our business, we had its predecessor, the Epson 3880. We loved that printer. It was from 2008 or 2009. I was able to borrow it from my dad, who's a photographer, hobbyist, and we were able to start our business from that. When that thing broke down because I broke it, we were in a panic and we had to buy a new printer quick, and we wanted to buy the latest and greatest, which was at the time the Epson P800. And it was a small learning curve just because we had to learn how to work with this guy. Like I said, each printer has its own personality, and it's gonna be like your child or a pet. It has little quirks and things like that. So we had to learn it, and once we did, it's been super reliable ever since. And I can see once this thing starts slowing down after year 9 or year 10, I could continue to use this and buy the latest Epson and have both of them side by side as we continue to produce prints at home. If you have any specific questions that I missed, feel free to leave a comment below. We'd love to hear from you. If you would like to support our channel, go ahead and subscribe, and we hope to talk to you very soon.
Thanks for watching.